So I'm very proud to give you guys the interview segment about those who choose to step onto the stage that's open to everybody, but banded successfully by so few. This is YouTube Confidential, episode 4, with guest Azor Ahype. To YouTube Confidential. This is the 1-year anniversary of the first YouTube Confidential, which was the first video I put out on my channel. I'm lucky enough to have a great guest, Azor Ahype, and I'm very happy to have you on for this 1-year anniversary, and I think you are the perfect person to have a commentary on YouTube as a platform and talk about being a creator and what that takes, and the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the potential stardom. Don't know about Kyle. I will have Kyle tell you about himself because Kyle's a pretty good spokesperson. Kyle, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, so I live in the lands of always winter for you Thrones fans. I'm a Canadian. I live in Northern Ontario, right off Lake Superior. I didn't originally think I was going to get into YouTube, but it's something that I'm exploring now. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. But a little bit about me, I love to laugh. Obviously, I love Game of Thrones and movies. That's, my passion right now is covering that and really interacting with others, getting other people's perspectives and kind of going deeper into the different characters and amazing stories that we can find on television and in movies.
Awesome. When you say that, you do Game of Thrones now, but you're interested in other areas, and I also noticed that you do have the occasional, like you just did The Last Jedi, which is fairly common for the community as far as Game of Thrones creators. I kind of hate that, boxing in people, and it's something I've tried to avoid myself. This show is an example of it. This was my first idea for a segment, was to try to make sure that I had some diversity in my content, but slowly but surely, they put baby in a corner. they put you in a box. Do you feel that is it something you set out to be a Game of Thrones YouTuber? And do you feel that you can branch out and do other things? But do you think that people will be willing to watch content of yours that is not focused on Game of Thrones?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually what I'm working on right now behind the scenes. Don't tell anyone. I'm working on. I'm on Game of Thrones stuff, some other stuff right now. But yeah, I think it's important to have multiple interests. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, I love Game of Thrones. My channel name is Azor Ahype, and I do mainly Game of Thrones theory crafting and episode reviews and whatnot. But I never really thought I was gonna be doing this full time or anything like that. So when I originally started, it was just like, this thing where it was really fun, and then I would have special guests, and I still do that. But now it's like, when you kind of have a vision of what you want to create, you always have interest in more things, and you see obviously different content creators making videos on The Last Jedi, like Supreme Leader Snoke theories, and then you got Marvel Infinity Wars trailers. I'm interested in all that stuff. I grew up on Marvel comics, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings books, but first and foremost, for right now, anyways, I'm not looking too far right now, but I'm focused on Game of Thrones because it is such a. I guess I'm kind of short-sighted with it because it is ending in 2019, but that's what I'm focused on right now. But yeah, I will be doing other content. It is difficult though, like you said, because once you've created a certain amount of content, people expect you to just release these videos of the same type of content, and it can be difficult to try to get into another community after you've been building for a year, or like in my case, a year and a half.
Which you've done quite well, and we'll get into. But it's kind of funny, and it's kind of disappointing at the same time that I feel like when some content creators, and I find myself guilty of this, when I see somebody I know for Game of Thrones, and I do this, and they upload a let's say Westworld video or something, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing talking about Westworld? Like they are only able to talk about one. Now some are only able to talk about, and we'll talk about that later, not specifics, but some people I do think find it very hard to actually branch out because they don't have a wide base of knowledge. Like you said, you did grow up on these other properties.
I don't even think it's wide base of knowledge. I think it's just When we'll talk about you had a few more questions for me. We talked about this earlier. We talk about consistency. You got to continually go at it. You got to, like, every day or 5 days a week. You got to continue. I mean, if you put one Star Wars video out, chances are you're not going to be recognized by the YouTube algorithm, which is something that's I don't want to say incredibly difficult to comprehend, but it's always changing. So you're trying to figure out ways to get your video promoted through your title and in all sorts of different ways. But
yeah, your SEO it's a motherfucker.
Because I think if you have a good idea, if you talk about it, and if you're interested and you're excited about it, people will listen to you. But you have to create more of it. You have to get people. Like, if you're only going to create one video, and most of these people that come to the channels, like for my channel, for example, people want more videos all the time. They're always asking what's next, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how you create that community. It's really important to consistently create more of it. And sometimes less is more, you know what I mean? There's content creators that make like one video or two videos a month, but they've already been established in their community because they've made a certain amount of videos.
As you know, I'm at just under 900 subscribers, so I'm going to talk like I've already made it to the peak of the mountain here, like I'm some superstar. I just feel for these, but I mean, looking at it in a business sense, I do worry about some of these people because I've seen the few things that they've done, and you do have a point about the SEO recognizing it and whatnot, but I'm not going to even look at the views with it. I'm just going to look at the quality, and you see it's more probably a comfort issue for them that they're just out of their comfort zone, even though they didn't. I mean, nobody grew up just watching Game of Thrones. I mean, I just turned 30. You know, we won't disclose your age. I don't want to offend you. Or
no, that's okay. I'm 31.
31. Oh, we're right about the same age. So yeah, we are young men. So, you know, but we did obviously grew up watching other things than Game of Thrones. So of course we have other interests, but are people interested in us talking about it? But I do worry about some people's transition, but we'll get more into it. And I think that has a lot to do with the community building that you're talking about is what do the people that are actually watching your channel want to see? I guess we'll jump to that because you brought it up, and we'll go back to your creative process. But what I've gotten from you in our private talks, and full disclosure, me and Kyle aren't like best friends or anything, where I would say we're acquaintances. You've helped me out a little bit, given me a few tips and stuff like that. And we've, talked to each other a little bit at least. But one of the key pieces of advice that kind of changed my opinion of you as well is when you brought up the importance of building a community. And again, I consider myself to be quite savvy. And that really hit me for some reason. And maybe I'm the only person that didn't think of it that way. And everybody's like, why wouldn't he think it's important? But what I mean by that is that you legitimately and sincerely seeping out a fan base that you have, common interests with, not just, poaching people, but you voiced this to me. I don't know if you remember, but the importance of, building people around you, not just, videos for those people, but figuring out who those people are and legitimately going in. It's not about spamming out your stuff. It's about getting a legitimate base. And I think that you as a content creator, you do a very good job at that. I think that's one of the things you do better than most.
Well, I think that the super important thing is that I believe I invest in my fans. It's ultimately YouTube is a people business. Without people, I can't. I mean, my videos. With the views and subscribers, people got to come watch my stuff for it to be successful. Just for you or any other content creator, right? I think it's important, and you have to encourage them too. Like the law of attraction is a huge thing. I really believe in, and I think your community is a large part a reflection of what kind of attitude you have.
Absolutely. So, and then when you get your new subscribers, sometimes you'll click on the email, and I'll look at who's else is on that list of content creators. Either sometimes I'm disappointed with who else is on it, and I'm like, oh, because you're gonna have some similarities to the people that they're subscribed.
Well, we're all covering the same topics, right? Here's the thing. ultimately there's so many choices for videos, man. Like I can go watch Westeros history videos because I feel like they do great insight into the books of like the history of the Blackfires and the Long Night and all that kind of stuff, right? But I think for the most part, what's really important is you gotta make people feel welcome. You know what I mean? And ultimately, they may be there to watch the theory video and see what you have to say, but most of the time they're there to interact with you. So they're not just there for the video. So the big thing is I feel genuinely that I make people feel welcome, and I feel like they feel that I share my love and passion with them sincerely, whether it's covering Game of Thrones or something else. I think that's the reason why I love my community personally, because is we're positive. Now, we're kind of in this spot right now where there's a lot going on, and especially in media, there's a lot of propaganda right now. There's the right versus the left, and then there's the people in the middle. I think the people that are the most successful right now, whether we like to say it or not, are really not the people that are in the middle, because people really want to pick a side, right?
Yeah, the only reason you cross an aisle these days is to punch a motherfucker in the face.
So I'm on the spectrum. I try to stay really positive. I don't believe in wasting my positive energy. I'm a high energy guy. I'm always going pretty much, except for the times I need to balance myself out, obviously. But I think
is that difficult for you to keep up that energy? And
no, I mean, you need to recharge. I mean, there's an absolute me and Gemma from Secrets of the Citadel, we were grinding during the Game of Thrones season. There was days where, like, after the episode came out, Justin, I would do my episode review, record that. Then I would do a trailer, like the trailer for the next episode, and I'd be up for like 30 hours just doing like 3 videos. Yeah. But then I would sleep for a whole day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got about 6 hours of sleep, and I'm off work right now. So I was on with the Christmas special, which still is not fully complete. Almost over 2 days, just nonstop of editing, filming, and gets to you. And I'm going to get to that as well. What I mean about, is it hard for you to keep up the positivity? There is some people that create content that they see the benefit in coming off as the happiest person ever, because people want to believe that person really exists, that person that's just nothing but happy. But there's always going to be that question when you have an overwhelmingly positive person on, a channel that people are going to ask if this is real, or if this person is, just faking this persona. And I would argue that it's a little bit unfair to say they're faking a persona, because everybody puts on a face when you're on camera, to a point, because you have to be a professional, or whatever you want to call being a YouTuber. You are putting on a performance, but that just means you're being the best you can be. Do you think is it that far? Is it this much of a difference from the Kyle that is sitting talking with his friends or girlfriend or whatever, to the Kyle that we see on camera? Like, what is it? Is it from 1 to 10, or is it from 7 to 10?
100%. What you see is what you get with me. I'm just yeah. Here's the thing. I think it's really important to be yourself. I mean, the people that get insecure, there's people that are super successful, you know what I mean? Like, the PewDiePies and the Jenna Marbles, those people have personas, you know what I mean? They express a part of themselves in a very extreme way, you know?
Yeah.
But I think truly, if you look at the people that are successful in life, and if you're generally truthful to yourself, people will come to you, and I think it reflects within the content. I mean, I'm going to use an example here. When I went to Con of Thrones, I was talking to Axe Chucker from Watchers on the Wall, and he's like, man, I don't know if I've met anybody as passionate as you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you really are Azor Ahype. And that was probably the biggest compliment that I've ever received, because it was validation that that people appreciate what I'm doing, you know what I mean? And I think the key for me and more other people that want to be successful on YouTube is that there's going to be a lot of negative comments. There's going to be a lot of positive comments. you got to just focus on trying to be yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get too distracted by everything else, and you're not going to be creating the content that you want to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, that first off, spoiler alert, I didn't know that you were officially the prince that was promised. That is great. Congratulations.
The hype that was promised.
The hype that was promised. That is true. Yeah. And like I said, I think that, calling somebody fake in general is kind of an unfair, especially people that don't do anything like this. I guess I wouldn't understand is that obviously there might be some times, like you said, like when you just were grinding it out and you had to put a little bit more of a smile on your face, but that's not you being fake. That is you being you, but you gotta bring that energy. You gotta bring the Kyle to it, or the Azor Ahype. You know what I mean? So I think that there's definitely gonna be some wear and tear with that, and it's definitely gonna come out. You're human, dude. That's all I'm saying is that I'm not saying you're coming on here and just putting on this fake persona or anything like that, but it definitely to come off and be so excited every single minute, it definitely has to take its toll on you. So I just wanted to know, how you dealt with that, and how much of a leap it was. Like my point with the number system is because for some people it's one hell of a leap. I don't believe, to be honest, that it's that big of a leap for you. I believe that that's pretty close to how you're usually behaving. I think that you watch Game of Thrones and you are literally, and I don't like the word hype and I still like your name. I feel that I like when you use it. That's fine. I feel it's overused and stuff like that. I think you use it creatively, but I hate that. I hate the hype people that make videos that are just about how awesome and how cool something was, and there's no information. That's what separates you from me. If I were to just not have ever seen any of your content, I probably would be like, I don't know, it's probably gonna be another guy that's just gonna be talking about how cool it was when that thing went boom, oh man, and then that exploded and this was sweet. No, you have to have substance along with your enthusiasm. It's my
what this
point.
ties in with? This ties in with the challenge of creating content. Mm-hmm. This might sound a little bit selfish, but I create content for me. I want to make myself proud. I feel, because of my experiences in life, I feel like some of my 20s were wasted, or most of my 20s. I feel like this is kind of my calling because it just happened. Well, it didn't just happen because I was making videos and people were liking them, but I have an opportunity to do something, right? I mean, and I see this opportunity, so I jumped on it, right? But I think nowadays more than ever, if you look around, and I'm not a perfect guy, but there's this struggle of not doing the thing that you love.
Absolutely.
And you know what it does? It makes you incredibly vulnerable. And that was, like I said, basically me in my whole 20s. I was definitely not as happy as it took a lot of hard work for me to even get to this point. But I feel not only I owe it to myself, but I feel this level of responsibility to keep myself happy and to share that positive energy with others. Does that make any sense? I just feel like I got to share the love inside of me. I believe that you live once, and then I believe in being positive and sharing that with others, really.
Just one more note on that. Do you ever find yourself, I do find that you say very few negative things about the show. And is that something that you have to avoid, that you're conscious of avoiding, or are you that? And again, this is not, are you a liar? Are you doing this? Because it's a conscious choice when you're making content to make the content the way you want. Like you just said, you want to, do what makes, and that's a very difficult thing to achieve, is to make content that you're proud of and that is successful. And it's great that you have an opportunity in a platform that you built off your hard work to be able to be at the point to do that, because I'd be doing a lot of different shit if it was all about just the stuff I wanted to make. And I also don't buy into when a lot of people say that they just do it for fun. So I do appreciate that you said that it is a job and, it is a lot of hard work, because people that put out multiple videos a week, we know how much time, whether they're shit videos or not, it takes. Don't tell me you just do it for fun and you don't care about the subscribers if you're putting out 3 to 5 videos a week. Bullshit.
Let me ask you a question then, Justin. What would you rather listen to? Would you rather listen to someone that's excited and positive about something and they're expressing their excitement, or would you rather watch someone that it's having a critical opinion and being a little bit more negative about things. Just give me your opinion.
I do prefer feeling like I'm getting, you know, a critical viewpoint, but I do want the person to know what they're talking about. Of course, there is that appeal that I think that is deep inside of a lot of people that they don't want to admit, that they like hearing people shit on stuff. There's a lot of channels. I'm not saying that's me, but I think there is a certain appeal to that. Of course, I'd rather hear something positive, and you want to get that mirror feeling. I believe that's why there are those people that a lot of people that watch reaction videos that I don't get, is because they want to know if people feel like they did about it. So I think that, you know, we all do love Game of Thrones, and there's no point of, you know, just shitting all over it when it's not doing as well as you think it should. But I also think it's important to mention when there might be something that you didn't particularly like. So do you make a conscious decision to keep out any dislikes? Or
No, not at all. Like when I dislike something, I'm still talking about it. But I'm going to spend 90% of my energy focusing on the positive things. Now, like, I'm going to use an example here. We have Angry Joe. He's another YouTuber, and he has very, very critical views, and he has a lot of positive things to say about games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, and he has negative things to say about the new Mass Effect game. But for me, I think for my style, and this goes back to being true to myself, it's just the way I feel. I'm just being true to myself, and that's what I want to do. I want to talk positively about the things that I enjoy. Does that mean I can't be critical? Absolutely not. I'm critical all the time in my videos. I do a lot of research, and but it's just me.
I'm not questioning
for me, I guess part of my YouTube vision and what I hope to have. I'm thinking legacy here. I think I'm going to be doing this 10 years from now. I think I'm very confident that I'm going to be very successful. I have a lot of hard work to do, but I feel like for me, I got to create that brand. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so people are buying into me now. Obviously, I wish there was more, but I'm super satisfied with how far I've gotten so far. But obviously, you know, like I said, every day I'm inspired to make better videos, make better content. But that for me, for my style, I guess, you know, I think it's really important to have a style.
Absolutely.
And my style isn't faked, which is good, right? Like I feel super comfortable just expressing myself that way. So that's I guess kind of my thought process behind it.
Yeah, and again, it's not an attack or anything like that. It's a valid question. I think a lot of these things, a lot of these aspects of content creation, people aren't going to understand. You have to make a conscious choice about, because first off, people don't like long videos. So you have to make a conscious choice about what you want to focus your time on. So all I'm saying is that I notice, and it's great because that fits your personality and that does fit your true beliefs. Some people are going to have issues with Dorne, so they're going to make for 3 months a whole series about how Dorne sucks. They're going to choose to spend their time that way. There was plenty of things they probably liked about the show as well, but they chose to do it on that. So the only difference is on the other side, you have that you like plenty of things just like other people do, and you'll mention when something, you know, didn't go the way you thought it went, or it could have been better, whatever, an aspect of the show that you didn't care for, but you're not gonna just go and dive into it, because that's not what you're trying to convey. That's not the content that you can be proud of. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, that it's just the style that you choose and how much you want to dedicate to shitting on something, or how much you want to dedicate to positivity. Yeah. And what
I hated Dorne. Like, I hated Dorne, but yeah. I didn't feel like I needed to dedicate any of my time to something that really, it wasn't interesting. It's just I felt like I could my.
We don't need any more people shitting on Dorne. It's a moot point to make.
It's like, who's gonna am I gonna make a whole video about that? Sorry, that's a waste of my time.
If he makes a whole video on this and you guys are watching this, call him out. No, that would be incredibly foolhardy.
Not going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen. I'll talk about Dorne in the books. I'll do it in the books, like when the new book comes out.
No, absolutely. Well, and another thing too, it's a lot easier to shit on something than it is to praise it, by all means. So it is not at all an insult. You know, it is a lot easier to pick everything that's wrong with something out and be this critical son of a bitch than to find what you love. Because let's face it, we all watch these television shows, and this kind of gets back to the platform. In Game of Thrones is usually only on 10 days out of the year, correct? But now it's going to be only on 6 more days. And we find a way. We're lucky because some people, you know, everybody has different hobbies, but obviously us as content creators and a lot of people in the fandom, their hobby are these fandoms, you know, are these shows. We get to enjoy the property by making content and watching other people's content for the whole year. We get to enjoy it even after it's done, because we can investigate more about it. We can, you know, look into storylines. We can look into this, and we can make our own creations out of it. That's a gift. And then other people that aren't content creators that watch it, they can. It's not just, I'm not the type of guy that says on Sunday evening when the show ends, I'm like, well, I'm content. I guess it'll be on next week. No, I'm like, fuck, man, I want more right now. So that's why we click to the live streams. That's why we do this. So it is about positivity, and obviously that we want to enjoy it as much as possible, you know? So shitting on something for the fact of shitting on it, it is just cheap in my opinion. It's also cheap for the people, and I'm not speaking of you, that are just fake, happy about everything. I think it's an easy way to make a video for people that don't want to have any information. They just want to talk about how awesome something was. And there seems to be a little bit of effectiveness to that, unfortunately, because I guess people, if they thought something was freaking awesome, they want to know if somebody else thought something was freaking awesome, and that's about it. But also, if you look at the platform.
But here's the thing. Let me drop an actual number on you. I worked in the restaurant business for 10 years. Mm-hmm. The ratio of negative to positive comments online is 30-1. So
for bad.
For negative comments, it was insane, man. The amount of stuff I had to reply to. And look at the Last Jedi hate. This is another example, man. People shit on D&D all the time. People are shitting on Rian Johnson. But like you said, it's easier. It takes focus and energy to really focus positive energy in from your perspective, at least, because there's so many different opinions, man, right?
Yeah. As far as that, well, I was a waiter for many years. I was just serving again on the side. And a big reason for that is, and it comes back to, because people, it's in the human nature to have that hate. I know it might sound cynical, but that ratio is proof of it. And I know that ratio is true. And that's probably even being gracious. It's because a lot of people, what is more likely? Somebody's going to go home after a nice dinner, and they're going to say, oh, my God, that was great service. And they're going to write an email about how great it is. That does happen every once in a while. But it's far less likely than the person that had a horrible time, because guess what? They're mad. So then they're like, well, this ain't going to end. This doesn't happen to me. So then they start, slamming away on their keyboard like an asshole. And sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes it's not. So people are not as likely to be thinking, oh, I need to go and praise these people, because what they figure is, oh, they just did their job. But when it comes to the negativity, they feel like they were a victim. So I feel like when we love these shows so much, that when we have a aspect of the story that we think was not done well, especially those that are so loyal to the book, then it's that same type of deal as, I guess let's make this the whole metaphor, the restaurant, the show is the restaurant. So if the show stays faithful to the books, where people are less likely to just, praise them, because well, they did their job, Dan, they did their job. They fuck up one little thing, we're fucking smashing away at the keyboard, saying how horrible and this is the worst thing that's ever happened. So yeah, it's definitely a cheaper way to make it. Goes both ways, but the negativity is, I think, a lot more far spread. There will always be a little bit of fakeness and entertainment, and it's a thin line. I don't like using the word fake. It's just, again, putting on your best face, but it's still your face. I want to move on a little bit.
Think about this. Thoughtfulness requires some effort, man. So I'm not saying that negativity doesn't require thoughtfulness, but I'm just saying to go out of your way to say something positive does require some effort.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously. It's just, the only difference with the people that I'm saying that doesn't require effort are the people that just talk about how great something is. I just did this thing on a Collider video. This guy had no knowledge of the topic whatsoever. It seemed like he hadn't seen the show. He couldn't name the character, the main character, and he definitely only had one take and didn't feel they needed to edit it. And that's like a pretty large channel that's ran by an actual fucking network. But he was just like, it's awesome, man. And if you like knives in people's faces, you know what I mean? And he's just real excited. I even did a parody on it. It might not be the funniest thing in the world, but he said, if you like a Braveheart, if you like a medieval, this is his actual words. You know what I mean? If you like I'm like, if you like a pina colada, if you like that, he's not talking about specifics. He's not talking about anything. He's just saying he literally said that the explosions are great. So it's pretty much, I like the booms and I like the stabs. Did you guys? It's a little dumbed down. The
thing for me is I try not to focus. Like I try not to compare my content to other content, because I feel like when I do, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, it's not
because I feel like I have to create no matter what. I don't want to say wasting my time, because you can gather information and research, but that's just my view on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, here we're going to address it because this is just discussing content creation in general. So I'm going to have to bring up some comparisons, obviously, so it does make sense. So I do agree that I can't watch a lot of other people that do things similar, because it's, first off, then you worry that you're going to be copying them, and it's almost impossible sometimes. That's why I find it hard to do recap and reviews sometimes. Up until just recently, I became more comfortable, just because I felt like, what's the point? Everybody in the world's doing it, but there is a point.
But here it is. Yeah, there is a point. That's what I'm saying, man. Like I don't worry about that anymore, man. And that's why I feel like my content is successful.
Yeah, I think you need to. I can definitely sense that you feel like a little defensive, not with me, but just about the way people look at your work. And I don't think that big draw and that appeal you have, and the way you approach your content is unique. It's not easy, and it's not going to take with some people, because there are those people that just want to watch the world fucking die. You know what I mean? But I mean, come on. I mean, you're in Canada, right? We elected, not me, but Trump's our president. I mean, so that's the type of people we are. We're fucking sadists, dude. I know a lot of really good people too. I don't know, man. It's hard to just say that too. Hey, I will overgeneralize. This is not your show, Kyle. Wait, you need to back it up a little bit, answer the questions, and let me say that all people are inherently evil, and that most people are fake pieces of shit. That's a fact, okay? This isn't no Justin Trudeau fucking socialist fucking shit over there in goddamn fucking Canada, wish I lived in. I mean, that's up in there. But no, I think that these are all legitimate questions to ask. And any human being. If I saw somebody even at my regular job, that's where and they're just happy all the time. I'm like, what the fuck? Hey, what'd your doctor prescribe you? But and I have taken some notes from your content, which I feel I do something very different. But like I said, that community building, and you've already explained it. What I took from that, it's more about just trying to pick your people and engage with them. It's your legitimate engagement. Like I run the Westworld Amino, and I realized that's how I really started doing my channel, is because I was doing that. Now that takes up a lot of my time. The guy that created that app put me in charge of it. It's a standalone app, and it takes it when Westworld's on, which is rarely ever, thank God. It takes up a lot of time. But then I realized, I'm like, this is really engaging, because I'm not selling. I'm not peddling my videos to them. I'm engaging with them on a human level. I'm being myself. It's not like, hey,
it's documenting.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I wouldn't have got to where I've gotten without a lot of help. George was the one that suggested that we should go to Con of Thrones. We went.
George Martin?
No, not George Martin. George Sartier.
That would have been a fuckload of help. Isn't he on interview?
Yeah, but George had some experience in Hollywood. He worked on movie sets and on Gene Simmons' costume and all this stuff. And he had been going to conventions for a while. And he's like, "Hey, man, like I think you should go." And we did a GoFundMe, and we reached the goal in like under 2 weeks. It was insane.
Yeah, that was incredible. How much money you got?
It was 2,000. We reached 2,000 and under, like, it was like 10 days.
I mean, that is amazing right there. And that was for what type of camera did you get?
I didn't get a camera with that. That paid for my flight was,
okay.
I mean, from Canada. Flight from Canada was half of that at least. Then there was hotel costs and then food and drink. The other stuff I covered for, I mean, obviously getting around and whatnot, and a little bit of fun, my own money. But they essentially gave me the opportunity to have this amazingly positive experience that completely changed. I mean, I met lifelong friends. I mean, I highly recommend to anyone that wants to go to Con of Thrones, go. I had the experience of a lifetime. And this is the point I'm getting to, is that I think for able to be successful, you also have to surround yourself with positive people, and you got to cut out the ones that you don't feel are going to be benefiting you in any way. And
absolutely.
And I've learned my lesson. Like there's a few people that that unfortunately were very negative, and
we'll get into that in another minute. But I don't believe that for one second, Kyle. I've never heard anybody having any type of drama with you whatsoever. So we'll get into that in a minute. I think I'm getting the camera thing. I think that was because you hit your goal so quick, and then did you do like another push potentially for because you guys had hit it so quick? Is that where I'm getting that from?
Sorry, say that again.
I think I'm getting the camera idea from, because I think I remember you hitting that goal. So you hit the goal so quick that then you said that you did another like tier.
So
or something.
I originally set it for 1,000, and then I was like, oh crap! Well, the flight is $1,000, but we still got hotel because my Patreon at that time, like there was, and the money I was making off ad revenue wasn't the same amount of money that I was making in like, for example, from season 7 episode reviews and stuff like that. It was like. I'm not going to give you a number, but I'm just saying I really needed the help. There was no way I was
going to be getting Kyle's information, and we will be putting it on.
There was no way I was going to Con of Thrones without that level of help. Like literally, I needed all of it, and it was. Honestly, it was just so crazy, overwhelmingly positive. And then it happened again for Dragon Con, and me and George went to Dragon Con, and it was like we made more networking and more friends.
Can we just say who George is?
George is my hand to the king. I would say.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's fantastic, and that shows right there. And I've learned, it's hard not to be negative sometimes at first, especially with how much of a grind it is. And I think that I'm just getting to the point where I'm able to be more myself, and I'm doing more like fun things, like I parody scenes and stuff. I went to school for acting and writing. What I want to get into next is when does content creation, because you say you want to make videos for yourself, and of course you do, Kyle, but let's be real too, that you need to be covering like what's current. I mean, yeah, mostly that's going to fall in line and stuff like that. But there's always the thought, and that's what I want to get into, is the process of how do you go about when you start thinking about your videos. I'm just going to do a brief summary because it's not about me, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Not your goal overall, because we went over. Your goal is to project positivity and project who you are and make yourself happy. We got that. Okay, for example, I will be thinking about what my next video is. Is there production news for something that's off air, or a theory video? I need to make that decision. What type of video is this going to be? Is this going to be a recap and a review? Is this going to be a news update? Is this going to be a theory video? Is this going to be a general discussion about the overall overarching themes of a show? So you have to make that. You have to start dwindling it down, and then you go into it, and then you need to take your approach of, okay, now what are my points that I want to hit on this? What is your process? Because you do seem natural, like we talked about, and we've established it that you try to be just who you are and nothing else, and that's worked for you. That's great. Are you scripted? Are you on script? Do you have an outline? So walk me through your process. Is there anything similar to that?
Well, I pull no punches. I love to talk. Okay. That's just something I love doing. So I guess for me, it comes really naturally just to be able to, if there's I'm a fan just like everyone else. That's how I started. Like when I started to create my content, that's how it started. I was in the comment sections of YouTube videos, theorizing and chatting with other people in the community. And that's what really ultimately gave me that little push to start making videos. I hurt my back. Once you
started making the videos, which is great. But what I'm talking about, your next video, okay? Because I obviously you're a fan. Obviously you love the show. Obviously you're positive about it. Those are all legitimate feelings of yours. But what is your process for when you are making your next video? Because there's just no way that you just sit in front of the camera, because it would just be a mess no matter how much I love to talk too. And trust me, and sign up for my Patreon because you can get some of those clips of me just fucking rambling, and it's a mess. So is it an outline? Is it a script?
I start writing from scratch. It might just be like one idea, like, geez, where is Sandor Clegane going to end up? Like, where is he going to be in the final episode? Okay, I got to figure out for where he is now until then. Okay, how are we going to get there? And what makes the most sense? What doesn't make the most sense? And then I write. I'm like, okay, and I'll brainstorm, and then I have my own personal bias, just like anyone else. You know what I mean? I'm like, I think this character's gonna live or this character's gonna die. Whether I'm right or wrong, I have my own personal bias, and I try to. I mean, people that watch my videos know my style. They know I think Jon Snow is going to be king. They know I think Sandor is going to be in the Clegane Bowl and save one of the Stark girls. Stuff like that. You know, there's things that legitimately I will not change my mind about, but sometimes. It really depends. If there's a big news article on Watchers on the Wall, I want to get that out right away because I want to start discussion. Because not only will people want to be discussing it, but I want to discuss it probably more than anyone else. So that's the Azor Ahype thing. Like, I'm just as excited to talk about it in my comment section than everybody.
Absolutely, but you know, like what you were getting into was what I was looking for. Is about you came to a general idea. Of course, when there's huge breaking news, that's what you're going to cover because it's just foolish not to. You know, you're not going to be like, well, I don't know. Like Jon Snow fucking dies. You're like, wow.
It really depends on the day, Justin.
No, I know, but I mean, but what you said, like, it was good that you thought of a premise, you know, of where is this person going to be. So that's that's a different take on it. That's what I mean about, you just love doing it and all this. And of course you do, but there has to be a structure to it no matter what. And things have to be well timed, else you'd be just talking about like season 1 all the fucking time. Well, some people do that, but you get what I'm saying. So like, from what I'm getting is a lot of research on
what's going on in the Game of Thrones universe. I'm constantly scouring Twitter, the Watchers on the Wall, winterscoming.net. I'm not really a huge fan of Reddit. I find a lot of there's a lot of negativity there. So I just try to.
Is there negativity on Reddit? My good God, sir. I put up I got the most upvotes on the video where I trash Reddit. I do voiceover work on the side, and believe it or not, and I'll lose my voice a lot.
Don't believe it. No.
No, but anyways.
Don't talk about my mama like that.
Yeah. So, you know, my voice got what they would, fry voice, and it gets a little like that. You know, by the end of the night when you're doing some, re-recording and stuff like that. And it was my Macy Williams video. I got this comment from this gentleman that said fry voice and then just put like that, like a bunch of exclamation points. And I looked at that comment, and I'm sure you've dealt with this. It is best not to address negativity or get too caught up in it, but come on, everybody can. Let me finish. Everybody does to a point, and I'm saying, of course, you want to make, because we all want to make content that we're proud of, Kyle. But you also have to follow some sort of a formula. It's just that's where it comes into what about content creation and mixing it with business do you lose yourself? A lot of people have changed quite a bit since they started making content. They started off wanting to do one thing, and now they probably don't enjoy it that much. You can kind of see it, and they're kind of just going through the motions because they have a Patreon and they have a decent amount of followers. Would you say that's a fair assumption about a good amount of content creators from all areas of the internet?
It depends, man. I don't know. Like, what platform are we talking about?
Well, there seems to be a good amount of YouTubers that are, kind of just calling it in for a lot of the recap and reviews because they know it's expected of them. And then you can see every once in a while a video pop out that you can tell it's something they're really excited about. So you can kind of see like what really makes them happy and what they really want to make, and then what they feel obligated to make. Because once you have people that, like, for instance, you have a great group of people that you built in a legitimate way that paid for you to get somewhere that you couldn't have gotten without their support. And I mean, come on, that has to mean the world. So you have to feel an obligation to them. And I'm sure they're cool. I'm not questioning, their character or anything like that, but you have to keep them in mind, I would assume, when you have that much support. And so it can come to, it's not going to always be the video that you wanted. You're not going to be ashamed of it, but there might have been a video you would have made if this wasn't, going to be such a pressing topic for one of your, for a large group of your base. It's the point I'm getting to.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, YouTube is essentially a people business, right? You got to continually invest in people. I mean, obviously, I have to invest in myself and be confident in what I'm doing. Otherwise, people wouldn't buy. You talked about business versus art. I'm lucky. I'm really lucky that I started out with the art and the business came to me. I never expected it, but I had done enough hard work that it had the two had kind of merged. Now I don't know how it is I know how it is for a few other people, but that's none of my business talking about how it works for them. Yeah. But for me, I guess I have some short-term goals and some long-term goals. I got a camera. I feel like I can go travel and do photography. That's kind of different than just doing videos, but you can put your pictures in videos. So that's kind of another skill that I've acquired.
You build up your skills as you go. I think we all do.
Video editing, stuff like that. I mean, what if I want to do graphic design work or something? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So for me, they're the same, but for some people it isn't. Like it's not the same for everyone, right? But for me, I can't sacrifice any of my values. I think, obviously, I think pretty much everybody knows what those are. I think that we've established that, and I want to do a quick lightning round since you're a little short on time here. And the one thing I do want to mention is that I think that one of the downfalls of creating such a great community like you have and having that support is where you can come into having some conflict of interest, because you have built this community on what you love doing, but you now could potentially become in a situation where you are highly in debt. It's just like a mainstream media where they have to do what their sponsors want them to do. I'm not saying that's what's happening to you or anybody else, but I'm saying that's an issue with YouTube that I foresee in the future, is these people that have such a strong Patreon base that they are gonna, it's like it's a curse and a blessing all at the same time, and that's all that are paying you want, other than the videos you want to make. I'm not saying you're not going to still make them, but they're going to take a back seat. Look at podcasters, right? I mean, people that create podcasts, like new rock stars, for example, their work is unique. You know what I mean? They have their own thing, but I'm sure for their patrons, they have completely unique things that they do that are super important and integral to their business staying afloat. I mean, the adpocalypse is still a thing. I mean, I'm still dealing with it on a regular basis. It's not easy. I'm pretty lucky that I have a decent patron. I'm not rich by any means. I don't make a ton of cash, but you know what I mean? I keep on investing it back into the business, which is my channel and myself. Taking a couple courses, learning some things, getting better at editing. But like I said,
when you say taking a couple courses, because that's going to transition. So what do you mean by?
I want to keep that a secret, actually. But it all comes back to, you still have to invest in the people that are going to watch your videos. You have to create good content.
And the people that have been there for you. So yeah, that's great. So we've had some of the same issues. I had my channel wrongfully terminated, and you did too. And you, unfortunately, did not get yours back as quick as I did. You changed one thing about YouTube is the way it works as a platform. What would you change?
Simple, protecting its content creators. I mean, so one person that doesn't agree with your opinion, they could basically press a button and you're screwed. And then it's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, no due process, pretty much.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I don't want to be too critical here, but YouTube has zero customer support, really. I mean, who just wants to communicate through emails? How can, I'm not saying I would get on the phone yelling and screaming with them, but it would be easier to get my point across, or to be able to communicate with a person, not just over email. I don't know if that's a bot or not. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they have 400 hours of video uploaded every minute, so they cannot sustain that. That is why the algorithm is in charge. and you can't talk to the algorithm. The way I got in contact with them was by tweeting at them and having a bunch of people retweet, and then finally they DM me and told me to take my email off there. Hey, we just wanted to let you know that you put your email up there, and we were worried about you sharing your personal information. And I put this in the video I did, and I responded to them with, that's my email, my business email that's on every one of my social media outlets. So I'll take it down as soon as we get this settled, because obviously what they wanted down was all the stuff about my channel being wrongfully terminated and not getting its review. And that shortly after that, I did get my review. But I think that you're right. I mean, there's no customer support, and there's the overall feeling that we could be just thrown away and it would be no big deal for them, because in retrospect, we don't make them a lot of money, so if they're worried about offending a certain base of people and losing all of them, and all it takes to
it's not even like I'm saying anything edgy though. Like I say I drop a few F-bombs and stuff, but I'm not, it's hard to wrap my head around.
No, that's the point, though, is because it was just wrongfully flagged, but they don't have the time to look into it. So the point is, they don't want to take all the risk for a low-yielding situation. A low-yielding, no offense to you or any of even the biggest of Game of Thrones YouTubers, don't bring in the type of money that fucking YouTube actually cares about. When you look at the other people, there's people that make slimes and they have 8 million views. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So they don't. If all they do is they have their algorithm, they have very little customer support. They're bringing in more because of ElsaGate, because that was the final straw. Because now kids are being, exposed to disgusting things, so they had to do something or say they're doing something. But
I talked to Daryl Eves.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey man, fill out this form, dude. It's happening to basically people who are like just playing a video game, and it's not even violent. Like, you know what I mean? Like this.
Mine were my Victoria reviews. They didn't even have me on screen, and it's a show on the BBC about Victoria, Queen Victoria. It literally could be like on the Disney Channel. I don't say one curse word. I do it because there's a base of fans over in the UK that watch it, and it's going to be airing in the United States, and I generally enjoy it, any type of period stuff. But yeah, I mean, obviously, all I'm saying is, of course, they're not offensive videos. It's either some asshole or it's a mistake by the algorithm. But the point is, why it's like the whole, would Bill Gates pick up whatever, like a fucking $50 $100 bill? No, because it's a waste of his time, and the risk of it actually being offensive is way more of a risk for them than losing whatever ad revenue they get from you. So that needs to change. I agree with you.
I think it's going to. I'm hopeful that, I mean, honestly, if they want their platform to continue to be successful, they have to, in my opinion, because there's going to be someone that's going to create something else. And I'm not saying YouTube will die because Google, but still, they have to consider this, because big content creators are being affected now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, people like Philip DeFranco can't get YouTube on the phone, and they once funded him to start. That's how he started SourceFed. Him and them in Discovery. So if he can't get a fucking person on the phone, what's our chances? So yeah, definitely, I agree, and it needs to change. And I do, and again, as such a successful man myself, I worry about some of the other people, because depending on just ad revenue, and even Patreon is all just depending on what people choose to give you that you have no control over. Business 101, have control over your revenue. You are sitting with a handout for your ad revenue from YouTube. If somebody posts some sick shit for kids, that fucks us over. When you have your Patreon, people can stop donating money. I mean, it is just charity. I mean, it is financing productions, and it's great. I use it. You use it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But the point is, people can stop donating to it. You don't have any say in that. So I think that YouTube also needs to take that same idea and look at that smart people who are going to brand out and get their own brand deals and brand themselves, as you have, which will lead me into one of my last points, the branding of yourself, will be able to go anywhere and still make money, because it's not, I can't lose my ad revenue. I can't lose it. Fuck your ad revenue. Go somewhere else. Be a real business. Get real support. Get real financing. Get real backing. make brand deals, and run a business that you have contracts with how much money you're getting. It can't just be a 12-year-old's not getting his money from his grandma anymore, so you can't give to your Patreon. No, you're going to have a lawyer talking to them because they're taking away money that you're contractually obligated to get. You know what I mean? So I think that a little bit more. I think that people that just depend, and I've seen some people that actually make quite a bit of money on YouTube, even with the ad revenue in their Patreon, that do nothing else. And that is like business for fucking dummies, because it's just take whatever they give you. They have a wide following. It's like, use that. You are a brand. You have made your ideas a brand, whether people like them or not, which a lot of people do, obviously. You're doing well. You branded yourself. My question is, how important is that for you to brand yourself? And more so, what was the reason for your name change? And the one, just to package it all together, I'll give you a 5-pointer. Is it important to brand yourself? What was the reason for that name change after you had branded yourself pretty well with the Kyle's Fucking Chicken? And why did you choose, even though I think it's a great name, why did you choose to still stick with something that was specific to Game of Thrones if you plan on branching out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my initials are KFC, well, KCF. I thought it was kind of funny. But, I'm a huge Sandor Clegane fan. And originally, the Kyle's Fucking Chickens thing was funny. You know what I mean? I wanted to, people know me as laid back and happy and funny. And that's what I wanted the channel to be about. But I felt like it wasn't a true extension of me. It was just like, just funny. It was just a gimmick.
It's a shtick, not who you are.
Yeah. And I mean, the Blaze manga does amazing art. Like they had me on a chicken iron throne, and everybody loved that. I'm cosplaying as Sandor. That was great, but it goes back to being true about yourself and who you really are. And basically, 2 or 3 months before I went to Con of Thrones, people were starting to say I was the hype that was promised in chat. I had a couple people say that I was Azor Ahype, and I'm like, man, like it just felt right. And I had just some discussions with some friends in private. I'm like, I'm like, man, people are calling me Azor Ahype. Like, that's catchy. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Blaze Manga. I got them to draft something up for me, and then maybe we can do something. And
fantastic work by him, by the way. That his work is great. Your art, when you first showed me your art before you launched it, I think I mentioned it too. I was like, I love it, but are you sure about sticking with something that's so Game of Thrones specific? But I think it does work on a few different levels. But that was I don't think either name's bad. I think the second one is better. But did that cross your mind when changing the name? And how risky did you think it was for you to change?
Oh, very risky. I was like, well, I don't know how it's going to go, but I thought
rankings and all that. Did that affect that?
I felt confidently that if I changed my name, because Kyle's Fucking Chickens is a long name, first of all. You know what I mean? There's long channel names out there, but Azor Ahype is just like, and because I'm mainly a Game of Thrones channel, Azor Ahype, like Azor Ahype theories. How many Azor Ahype theories are out there? You know what I mean? Like, there's that, and obviously, I
get that it works really well for Game of Thrones, and remember,
and you know what? It all goes back to having a brand. Like people see me as the hype guy. You know what I mean? Getting excited. And I feel like the excitement and positive energy that I bring is unique. And the art that I create, that is my videos, I felt a need for everyone to get behind that. And I think, obviously, branding is super important in business. I mean, not only the icon, I mean, I love, like, having the Azor Ahype icon, like being able to create shirts and all sorts of stuff, but being able to buy into something, feeling like, oh, like that's unique and cool. When I look out there, I'm not saying anything negative about the rest of the Game of Thrones community, but I feel like I have the best branding. I mean, there's obviously things that I can improve upon, but I mean,
no, I think it's one of the best for Game of Thrones. I mean, this is coming from the Justin Thomas show, which breaks every rule that you're supposed to follow when branding yourself, because the Justin Thomas show does not say what it. That was kind of the idea, because I don't want to be stuck to one thing, and I think that I'm really not so far. But I am a smaller channel. But you really do want to have your name imply what the channel is about.
You know what, too? And here's another thing, Justin. Sorry to cut you off, but if I were to move into different content, Star Wars, Marvel, and stuff like that, Azor Ahype, still have hype in my name.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I can still do movie trailers, stuff like that. Oh, this guy's getting hype, Azor Ahype. You know what I mean? Even though it's a Game of Thrones caricature, I'm still a superhero, like a superhero with a flaming sword and armor on. Kyle's Freaking Chickens is like, oh, you know what I mean? It was just it was just a decision for me, and it was not only a personal decision but a business decision for both, and I felt like I made the right decision.
Well, yeah, I think it turned out to be the right decision. You hit you were really growing. You know, it seemed like I looked at your numbers and like that was what is it, like 4 months, 5 months ago when you changed it?
I changed it a month before Con of Thrones, so that would have been about 6 months.
Yeah, so that's when you were hitting a stride or whatever, and
that's another thing too. I was going to Con of Thrones. I'm like, we're gonna sell some T-shirts. I ended up bringing like 10 T-shirts because I'm not rich, but like people were asking if we could have sold 200. Man, it would have been nuts.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think the art's great, everything about it. But yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a little bit of a risk, but it seemed to paid off, especially since you agree branding is so important. So changing your name is a very, it's something you're just not supposed to do. I mean, if you took a marketing class, they would tell you that. But of course, some of the best people at what they do don't always follow what they, read on a book. So let's move on to the next thing. Do you consider yourself to be an expert as far as it comes to the literature of Game of Thrones and the show? What I mean by that is, do you consider yourself to have the type of knowledge where you could walk into a film theory class or any type of course talking about narrative at a production school? Like I went to Second City and I've taken these courses where they teach you about screenwriting, they teach you about cinematography. You get your actual book learning about art, which is always I'm a little half in and half out on, because I believe that it comes naturally, and you can't read how to act better in a book. You can't read how to write better in a book. But regardless, do you feel like you could go and give a lecture about Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire? Do you just feel that you're passionate enough and you do the research for the individual?
No, I definitely could. I mean, right now, right now I'm working on dramatic Aristotle poetics and comparative analysis in Game of Thrones, dramatic theory. I mean, Aristotle, is, if you don't know who Aristotle is, please go read about him. But and Shakespeare and all that. Like, so for me, I'm always researching. Every day I do research. So I'm always getting into the characters' POVs and for me, Game of Thrones, as much as people say it's totally different than Lord of the Rings, it's still a romantic story. George loves the hero's journey, and this is a hero's journey for many different characters. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I consider. I've listened to the audiobooks 3 times over. I always go back and reference the books. I've been more focused on the show more recently, but yeah. Everybody's definition of an expert is different.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, no. The reason I bring it up is because, now that everybody has a webcam and a microphone, everybody has a YouTube channel. And I do feel like there are some people that definitely just shouldn't be talking about
There's absolutely people that have way more knowledge than me, though.
But yeah, that brings me to my next point. That's, you don't always need to be the most intellectual person about it. I think we see the channels that do that, and then we see the channels that kind of go the more entertainment route. I think it's great to find a nice middle ground. Like I said, I did go to school for film, and I did go to school and learn how to actually do production work. Too bad now it was so long ago that I had to relearn everything. But the point is, I try to mix a lot of those aspects in, not just go one route of another. And do you think that the most popular Game of Thrones YouTubers are the most knowledgeable ones? Do you think that goes hand in hand? I don't.
Some of the most interesting and eye-opening and thoughtful things that I've seen is definitely from the comment sections. I'm like, hey, why don't you make a video on that? That sounds great.
Stop telling those people to do that. It's already saturated. Jesus.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know.
Do they go hand in hand? I mean, and it's not downing on people because it's both sides. It
doesn't go hand in hand. But I mean, I do like. I mean, I watch a couple of content creators, and I mean, they're creating content, so you can see their perspective. I'm sure there's other people out there that have brilliant ideas, but I'm not much into comparing. But yeah, there's some people. I don't think it goes hand in hand, but there's people that absolutely are brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think that that you have to take the entertainment approach to it and to factor that in. You can't just be the person that memorizes facts and stuff like that, but you obviously have to do the work and you have to know your stuff. And it sounds like you're into philosophy. It sounds like you're into literature, whether you have formal training in it or not, but it doesn't matter because art is something that you can learn in your bedroom. You don't need to go to a course for it or an expensive college. So, I would say that it's nice to hear that you look at other properties, especially like stuff like Aristotle and stuff that definitely plays into when you're creating theories and stuff. You can use some of the philosophy.
Well, I mean,
these gentlemen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Game of Thrones. I mean, King Arthur, Roman history, the War of the Roses. The stories of Ragnarok. I mean, I can continually go on with a page of 25 influences that George Martin has within the Song of Ice and Fire. And people say George is like, no, that's completely George's. No, George talks. I mean, Jon Snow's revival, Jesus Christ, like go on and on.
Jesus Christ, George Washington.
George Washington.
I just did a Patreon requested video. Owen Glendower, who is a Welsh hero, and this is I did not know, but he is actually a big influence for Robb Stark. But I mean, there's many influences for multiple characters, so that's what's so great about it. So having such interest in history and philosophy, which I share as well, like what I pride myself on, I think is very beneficial and is very commendable for you to take the extra steps. The point I was trying to get to was that just knowing the most about a certain topic doesn't assure a success on this platform, because you don't want to make the look how much I fucking know show. I think the history of Westeros.
Well, and that happens a lot in our community. So.
Yes, I think that if that's how you want to approach your content in a strictly intellectual manner, then you should take a look at history of Westeros, and I think they do it well. They do it in a way that
friends of mine, they're amazing.
Yeah, Aziz is one of the nice. Aziz will talk to anybody. I mean, before I even had a YouTube channel, which isn't big to begin with, he would answer some of my messages and talk to me about stuff. He's just one of the nicest people.
I stayed with him in Atlanta for 3 days when I was at Dragon Con.
Yeah, just great people. So and it's great to see that they can take the whole intellectual approach and do it in a way that's still entertaining. And that's not easy to do. So is there a certain video or a series of videos that you are particularly proud of? And are there videos that you've ever deleted off your channel because you were ashamed of them?
But the stuff I'm most proud of is the Con of Thrones stuff. Because me and George got to interview Miltos, who played Serial Pharrell, Kate Dickey, who's actually a personal friend of mine. She played Lysa Tully. She's like, we're pen pals. Like, how cool is that? And that was my favorite because I got to and Paula Fairfield, we got to interview her. So that was all my favorite work because we actually got to meet people that worked on the show and see their perspective of working on a Game of Thrones. And of course, getting like not inside scoops, but from their perspective, like little nuggets we would never thought about because they're acting or they're producing and we're observing.
I think that makes total sense, and I'm going to add a new segment just for you because it just clicked with me when you said that, and this is Justin's career advice for Kyle. You would be perfect for a on-scene reporter, for personality for a channel to send out and have interviews with these people because you are so positive about the material and you're generally excited. Really quick, your hopes for the next season, and then your hopes for the next project that they do. You can just run it off real quick.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Justin. This was really fun, man. Obviously we've talked a lot in private, and we've had some really good discussions. So it's cool to be able to do a collaboration finally. 2019 is when Game of Thrones comes out next. The thing I'm hoping for the most is when me and George interviewed Paula Fairfield, she said that we were going to be getting 80 to 90-minute episodes. That's what I want because we're getting 6 episodes. And if we got 90-minute episodes, it technically means we get 9 or 10 episodes. The thing is if they are truly filming these 6 movies, I think it's going to be the best season of television ever, which will be pretty hard to do because There's a lot of really good ones from Breaking Bad and other TV shows, but I'm hopeful for the big episodes, and of course, man, Dragon on Dragons, dude. Let's see that. Let's see that.
I like it.
Kinky.
Yeah.
Next Game of Thrones project. I mean, I would love to see Dunk and Egg and Robert's Rebellion. They already ruled those out. So I think they're going to do the Targaryen history, and they're going to kind of do it like Vikings, when eventually Ragnar dies off. You know what I mean? And then they have the sons and whatnot. I think they're going to do that, and it's going to be like 4 or 5 seasons or something, maybe more. And then there'll be the Blackfire Rebellions within those seasons and stuff like that. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it makes sense. I really appreciate. Yeah, just because obviously, look at what George is doing. Other than finishing the books he's supposed to finish, he's writing more Targaryen history. So if they're gonna do any more Game of Thrones stuff, they're going to want to probably try to make sure they have the source material, and he has a shit ton of it. So I think that totally makes sense. It's been great having you on, Kyle. Appreciate your honesty. I really appreciate the work that you put in, and others can learn from your viewpoints. Let go of the pettiness and do what makes you happy, and think about truly embracing the community that you got into for the right reasons in the first place. Whether you have a Patreon that sends you across the country or not, treat them the same and become a part of that community. So thank you so much. Azor Ahype, everybody. The only time I'll use hype in a non-negative way is when I say the gentleman's name. Any other time it's directed towards other people, and I hate it. So thank you so much. And you guys make sure to subscribe. His channel will be down in the link, but also, subscribe to my channel. I know I'm already doing really, really, really good, but I could use a few. So
subscribe to Dustin's channel, everyone, or I'll eat every chicken in this room.
There's a lot of chickens in these rooms. If you care about animals, you sons of bitches, you better subscribe. All right. Thank you, Kyle. I know you got to go, so we will talk later.
One last thing. Sending positive vibes out. Happy holidays to everyone. I know it passed, but sending positive vibes to everyone going into 2018.
Yeah, we're going to need it. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Bye.
No, I didn't see you guys there. I'm Justin Thomas, and I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you did enjoy that video, make sure to check out some of our other videos, maybe right here, possibly right there. But make sure to subscribe right there, and we'll see you guys soon.